your hands up if you have a plant in your house. Great. Please keep your hand up if you know someone who has a plant in their house. Fantastic. Okay, now keep your hand up if at some point, you promised that you were going to love your plant, care for it, give it light, but for some reason the plant still died. Okay, finally, keep your hand up if when this was happening, you then rushed to the internet to ask, why is my plant dying? Lovely, great. Don't worry, you're not alone. I'm a struggling plant parent myself. I remember when I was preparing for this talk, I had reached out to my brother to help me take a picture, and for some reason, he chose that plant. But anyways, back to why we are here. I learned the hard way, and I learned that sometimes you have good intentions, but you can still get the outcome completely wrong. Now, people say climate change is borderless. Some people even say that, it's a borderless crisis if you ask me. The United Nations Developmental Report calls it a borderless crisis. But then I ask, what about the solutions? Are they borderless too? Has anybody here tried to get a visa for a trip before? At least one from Africa. But here's the thing, right? Climate adaptation is local. The wind moves differently in each place. The soil moves differently in each place. Climate adaptation is actually local. Now, in my heritage, before you speak of the future, you need to name the ground upon which you stand. My name is Mosopefoluwa, and I am a child of the Yoruba people. I come from a lineage that doesn't just see nature as a place to visit, but as a relative, someone who we owe a duty of care. Now today, 3 things will happen. Some of us will learn, some of us will unlearn, and others would relearn. So here's the thing, when we say indigenous knowledge, we are not talking about a continent. Indigenous people exist worldwide. What makes knowledge indigenous is its deep relationship to a place and its lived continuity over time. So now here's tension I want to name. On one hand, modern science is powerful. It gives us data, models. In fact, I checked the weather app this morning, so science is powerful. On the other hand, is indigenous knowledge. Some people have been surviving through different climate impacts for generations without even knowing that what they were doing was called adaptation. So here's my question. Can science be right and indigenous knowledge also be right at the same time? Can they stand side by side and strengthen each other? Can they work together? Let me take you back to where I learned my first climate lesson. Now, a little girl like me, my great-grandma had no formal education. She did not read reports. Neither did she even know the fancy words we use in platforms or places like this today. If she were to be here and I tell her adaptation, she's probably going to look at me and ask me, what does that even mean? But here's the thing, she knew something. A little child like me would call her a magician because she could stand at the edge of her farm and tell you how heavy the rain would fall. She could literally tell when the soil was not holding moisture enough. She could tell when the wind shifted. She knew something that modern science is gradually catching up with. And that is why today I have titled my talk, A Note from the Deity of the Land, Orisha Oko. Now, I'm not here to argue Yoruba theology or mythology. No, absolutely not. But I'm here to offer a translation because in Yoruba thought, when you say Orisha Oko, is a way of naming something practical. The land responds. If you like science, you could call it cause and effect. Either ways, the land responds. Now, where I come from, words are very powerful. If you have any African friends, they will tell you, we greet everything. We greet the soil, the sky, the land. We greet absolutely everything. But here's the thing, words actually shape human behavior. And these words are what we hold as heritage to us. Now, there's a place in my country, it's located in the southwestern part of Nigeria. It's called the Osun Osogbo Sacred Grove. Now, this sacred grove has stayed standing for generations, and the world around it has shifted. But for some reason, this place still stayed standing, and that is because Indigenous knowledge is not just belief, it's governance. Now, in a place like this, when trees here are being cut down or this forest is being disturbed, people would say it is a war. That's what we call it where I come from. Now, to the English, it's taboo. Now, you will hear taboo and think irrational fear. But here's the thing, if you look closely, a taboo is a set of rules. These rules shape human behavior, and then this behavior actually keeps systems like this that make life stable. Now, science can come in here to complement and not compete. Science can come in here to measure what this groove is doing. Science can come in here to test and translate these things into evidence that systems and institutions would actually understand and cannot ignore. So here's the point I want to name. When you see a community protect a groove, they are protecting breath. Now, the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change notes that urban areas are often more warmer than surrounding greener areas because of the urban island heat effect. So like I said, once a community is protecting a groove, they are protecting breath. They are trying to reduce heat risk in the most practical way possible. Now, to end where I began, can they work together to strengthen each other? Yes. Can science and indigenous knowledge be a team? Absolutely, yes. Like I said, to end where I began, some of us want the aesthetic of being a plant parent. I mean, I called myself a struggling one at that. But here's the thing. Let's not just stick to that. Let's ask, let's think, and let's honor. Let's ask, what does the land even need? Let's think beyond these trends, and let's honor the knowledge, be it scientific or indigenous, because when these two come together, it becomes a force, one that cannot be broken. Once again, my name is Mosopefoluwa. Thank you for listening.